Just like that, we are live. My new little intro worked. You're not up yet because here she comes. Ready? She's about to come in the stream. Monica Perez. Bam.
Hello. How are you?
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
I wasn't watching.
You didn't see my cool new intro?
Didn't see it. I'm sorry, I wasn't finished.
That's okay.
I was trying to be a good girl and get it all shared, and I'm a little bit remedial when it comes to that stuff.
So I'm learning they're adding some new features to this platform, and I'm learning hopefully how to use them a little smoother. Next week, I've got one more thing we'll try to make it all just kind of push the button and magic happens.
Right on.
That's magic.
That sounds great. I need a webcam with a better camera. So anybody who wants to tell me what to do, I will get it.
So today we're not really talking about propaganda. We're talking about your technological needs, your technical needs.
I'm just throwing it out there because you know who'll know JJ Boogie, not UK JJ, who's already here, but JJ Boogie will know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. John Jasper, ready and waiting.
Night. Nice.
You did. I tuned in for a short time. That was fun.
I saw you there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a little too much fun. I'm a little old to have that. What
were you partaking of last night? What was the drink of choice for you?
That a fabulous drink. Oh my goodness gracious. It's called The Third Man. It's about I think it's named after an old movie, maybe Orson Welles, possibly Alfred Hitchcock. And it was bourbon, but you can also do it with rye, grapefruit, lemon, a little bit of sugar, and Campari. What a crazy combination, because Campari is bitter, grapefruit's bitter, but and it was such a pretty color.
What color was it? I didn't see it. I just heard you talk about it.
It was a dark pink, like
a pink lemonade?
Like a really dark ruby red grapefruit.
Okay. Like a blood grapefruit, like a blood fruit thing.
Yeah, more like that. Oh my gosh, wow.
Wow, you look.
I'm still thinking about it.
I was going to say, it sounds like you want to make one right now.
I do. I might. What time is it?
Do you have a default though? Do you have one drink that you're like that you know is going to be good every time?
Yes, gin sour. Basically, I'll always take something with gin and lemon or lime. Maybe I should do lemon and lime and sugar.
Have you ever tried it with lemon and lime?
No, I'm sure it's got a name.
There's JJ Boogie.
Yes.
We told her that though.
Do.
I've even said you need to start doing it again.
I do. I can't put my words in the chat, but at monicamixes.com, there are the pictures of my drinks, but it's a little bit of a pain.
What is it again? Monica Mixes?
monicamixes.com. But it's a little, first of all, with this Corona times, I'm so damn busy. I don't have time to like set everything up because I have to like make a nice clean area in my house that looks pretty, and I have to get the lights just right. I have these big studio lights.
Did I get it right?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I do need to do that. I can sometimes find pictures online that aren't copyrighted, but I like my pictures. And the blog post, the blog is fun.
Well, since JJ Boogie's here, do you want to ask him about the camera?
Oh yeah, JJ Boogie. I need a camera to look at. You know how young and thin and gorgeous I really am. I feel like this camera makes me look like a different person.
I think I think you look great. You're looking for one to hook up to your Mac though, right? Yes,
MacBook Air. I want to do it for just this purpose. I just wanted to, so like when I am in other environments, if I have like a lot of lights and just the right conditions, it looks great. I'm very happy with it, but I'm in like a cubicle and I need a webcam that works miracles, and my laptop camera is not doing it.
And I've got a buddy, and I'll say it out loud and I'll tag him later. Chris Simmons can help you out with that. He's does video marketing for a bunch of companies around the South. And I always talk to him about those kind of needs. So if JJ Boogie can't help you, Chris Simmons can. He owns a company called Six Strong Media. If you're looking for marketing, video marketing.
Fantastic. Wow.
Great stuff.
That's great.
Hey, so here's the deal. I know cameras, you got a brand new backdrop, things in your world are changing.
Yes.
So today,
yes.
Today is maybe a little bit of a casual conversation, but the good thing is I sent you some tweets, but the news cycle took care of a lot of the stuff we can talk about because it gave us some major headlines this week. One, Trump has COVID. 2, there was a debate, if you want to call it a debate. I don't care where we start, Monica.
I would just like to correct something that you just said.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Trump reportedly has COVID.
See, this is how you go from slipping in to talking stuff to now you're a conspiracy theorist.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am a perfectionist when it comes to language. As a lawyer, I have to.
But all the doctors and experts around him say he tested positive and he's exhibiting symptoms now. So, I mean, unless you're there, don't you have to take their word for it?
No, I don't have to take their word for it. Why would I?
I knew the answer to that. I was trying not to spit on my computer. So
no, I don't believe them at all.
You hear all. So you don't think he has COVID?
They haven't even purified the virus. Their tests don't work.
Oh, okay, so nobody's had COVID.
Possibly. The Bulgarian health head of this health organization in Bulgaria says not one person has died of COVID. Every single person who's reported to have died of COVID actually died of something else. Hey, JJ, yeah, Clint.
Yeah, anything that I disagree with that I don't want to be right. If I don't want it to be right, it's a conspiracy theory. Isn't that the way we judge it nowadays?
You know, I was thinking, yeah, well, the tests are PCR tests, which are designed to extract degraded DNA from like archaeological samples. And when you hyper magnify them, it results in massive amounts of false positives. Plus, not to mention, they don't have a complete DNA picture of what they're calling the novel coronavirus. They've never purified it. So you absolutely, even when it comes positive, even if you have some kind of coronavirus, you can't know for sure. You have to do the research.
Well, see, and that's JJ Boogie just said, that's what I thought, LOL. Exactly. So if you think Biden is a better candidate, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's just the way I look at it. If you don't like Trump, you're a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy theorist. But I'm just kidding.
If you don't like Trump, you ain't white. Isn't that what Biden said?
No, he didn't say. He said the opposite of that.
I know.
I'm just saying, if we were famous at all, we would be on. This would be clipped out, and we would be on CNN later, and we would be canceled.
I was just riffing on Biden's gaffe.
It wasn't a gaffe. He meant it. It wasn't a gaffe.
Yeah, he's stupid.
So, but I mean, I think Trump has COVID, and me and you were actually talking about
this.
There you go.
That sounds like an accurate statement.
Well, I think here's my issue with it. I think it's a real thing. We've talked about this much. I think it's a real thing. I think people can get it. I think the statistics have been weaponized for whatever you want it to mean, whatever the plan is. I think you can get data and experts to say so many things. It's confusing. It doesn't mean that there's not a virus out there that people.
Hey, maybe he just got a flu shot. Maybe that's why he has symptoms. He and Melania probably just got a flu shot.
Huh? Maybe.
And I'm a little worried for Melania. I feel like
they've left her at the house.
I'm actually seriously worried for her because.
Why are you seriously worried?
I think that she was not born into this level of deception. And I think I don't know how long she's going to be able to keep it up.
There's so much inside when you say stuff. Here's the problem when you're a truth teller like you are, when you say what's on your mind, when you don't say what's on your mind and you kind of cover it, it's easy. Everybody reads into there's really more Monica's wanting to say, but she's on Clint's channel and she doesn't want to get Clint in trouble.
And I don't want to put something out in the ether that's bad. I don't like to do that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I heard you and Binkley talk a little bit last night about the phone call that was taped, the tapes that came out about Melania.
He was talking about it. I had no idea what he was talking about. Can you enlighten me?
I've heard a little bit of
it.
I don't know enough of the story to go from point A to point B. There was a person that worked in the White House.
One of those JJ's knows.
Well, she was part of the transition team, I think, and she was friends with Melania. And after she left the White House, she said that's when she started taping the phone calls. And so Melania was just ranting with her on the phone one day about, and what they do is they take these little clips you've heard, and then they say, look what she said about Christmas.
No, it's not.
She was complaining about, well, she was just complaining, and I don't know the quotes. You can go listen to them, but she was complaining about decorating for Christmas and how the news was covering it. And she was like it's a big blanking deal. She wasn't saying she didn't like Christmas, in my opinion. She was saying it was a big deal. Why are they making such a big deal? I have to meet all these obligations for the media and for the news. And then she was starting to talk about kids at the border, And so when she was talking about being held at the border, she was talking about kids that were being separated. And she actually came out sounding, in my opinion, very concerned, very upset that there were these people that were separated, and some of them needed to be because they were coming through as coyotes, bringing kids that weren't there. She goes, what are we supposed to do until we figure it out? And so she was very concerned about them, but the media picks and chooses, cuts and pastes what they want. The right cuts out what they want to prove that she's a great person. The left cuts out what they want to prove she's not a good person. And I think you nailed it on the head. She's not used to that. She's not used to being in the spotlight like that.
And Trump was raised to it. He was. I mean, his father was censured by Congress when Trump was just a kid. I mean, he was in congressional hearings that were publicized, and he was punished for the things that he did in a very public way. His sister's a federal judge. He owned a casino. He had mob ties. I mean, the guy he knows how this world works. And I don't think she does at all. But I really, of course, want to hear those tapes. My guess is she's just doing her best, which isn't going to be enough. I just don't know. After the RNC betrayed her and had her say that she wrote her own speech and then gave her Michelle Obama's speech or parts of it. Remember that?
Vaguely. I don't remember the details of it. No.
Oh, she was completely neutralized the day that Trump was nominated because she had a speech and she went public saying that she was writing it herself. And I guess in the end, she got help with it because somebody slipped in quotes straight out of Michelle Obama's speech from the same occasion. And it really humiliated Melania, and she was never heard from again. She had no credibility again. It made her look like a fool and a liar. And I think she was absolutely tricked. And I don't understand why Trump didn't nail somebody to the wall for that one.
Yeah, JJ Boogie, and Trump was on WrestleMania, so he is.
And he was a reality show star. He was a reality show star created by Jeff Zucker, who runs CNN. I mean, Trump knows how it works. He was talking to Micah Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough while he was running. And on commercial, they were like, oh, we're going to ask you this, we're going to ask you that. And he said, hey, nothing too hard. And they said, okay, we won't ask you that. That crowd.
My question, though, is when you see them doing that to Melania and again, do you think that's all part of this big picture, or is any of that kind of go counter to the narrative that Trump is part of the?
I think the fact that he didn't react to that at all, I think he was in on it.
Oh, okay. You think he threw his wife under the bus?
I mean, the Republicans threw her under the bus, and
but they're not married
Republican.
To her, so
he did. I think he does whatever he has to do to get what he's getting out of this.
So you still believe he's part of he's not there to fight the system. He's part of the system.
How could he possibly be there to fight the system? I mean, what is that? What is that theory? That.
I'm just asking. It just seems like there's a lot of contention between the Marxist people on the left. How much faith do you have in
politicians?
I don't have much faith at all.
He's a socialist.
I'm running out of politicians. Socialist. I'm running out of people. Unless you're running.
$4 trillion deficit this year.
I don't like that.
The guy. Hey. There is nothing else. He's bankrupting this country. That is our national security, the economy. It's just, it's totally implausible that the president of the United States is championing the people and losing. I mean, it's not possible that he could get that far and be bamboozled at every turn. His greatest enemy is a guy who works for him. You know what I mean? Yeah. If that's not a play, what is?
He's been funding the system for years, Clint. He's not Batman. Sorry. You stop it, JJ Boogie. Don't dadgummit.
Yeah, he's not Batman.
He's not Batman. No, there's only – so real quick, did you have a favorite Batman who's ever played Batman? Does anybody out there – who's your favorite
Michael
Batman?
Keaton.
Oh, okay. I like Christian Bale, but that's cool.
Yeah, only Michael Keaton because it's absolutely positively, I would say, the far distance dead last for absolutely everybody.
Do you think? Well, and plus, he actually is the antithesis. Yeah, he's the
right. Of course, he's not the badass guy.
Yeah.
It only works.
How about your favorite James Bond?
Sean Connery, of course. Although John Lazenby Daniel Craig?
Yeah, I like Daniel Craig. Christian Bale was good. Thank you, JJ Boogie.
Christian Bale? Oh, I was like, he was James Bond? Wow.
No, I like Daniel Craig a lot.
I like Pierce Brosnan. Clive Owen should have been. I thought it was cute. But George Lazenby, there was I think a Netflix documentary. It was quite filthy, so I don't recommend it to anybody of taste, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And it was up there with Valerie Harper as the worst negotiating position ever. He lost that James Bond role. Oh, not because of negotiating, because he wouldn't act the part off camera.
Did you see the new one? You know who the new James Bond is after this next movie, right?
Oh, is it
Tom Hardy?
Who?
Tom Hardy, if I'm not mistaken.
Who's Tom Hardy?
You don't know who Tom Hardy is? Oh, come on.
No, I thought it was going to be that sophisticated black British actor from The Wire. That's what I thought
too, but no, it's Tom Hardy. Yeah, next James Bond is Tom Hardy. Here, I'll throw a picture up so you can recognize him. Surely you recognize Tom Hardy. And he oh, look, thank you very much. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. And this is him with
Mr. Mom.
This is him with the beard right here. Let's see if I can throw Tom Hardy in there. That's Tom Hardy. He's been in so many movies.
What's with the
good movies.
Unattractive James Bonds? Like, why is that an okay thing now?
I don't know. Just throwing it in there. Yeah, so we'll put it back together now. Yes, Michael Keaton is Mr. Mom. Hey, real quick, let's do this, and then I've got some more fun questions to ask you because I knew it was going to be a light day. I'm not going to make you carry heavy weights today mentally. I'm pulling you down to my level, and we can just talk kind of superficial stuff. Did you watch the debate?
I live streamed the debate with my friend Cam from Make Liberty Great Again. And it was a little difficult to follow the debate because everything they said was goof worthy. And there was like 3 or 4 of us. And or 5 at one point. So we only heard like every online? 4th thing, just like this.
Oh, okay.
It was actually on StreamYard and our pictures were over in the corner, like along a bar on the side, a sidebar. And then this was the debate. And it was really clever. Cam did a great job. People enjoyed it, but I only heard like every 5th word because we were having such a good time.
So when you watch debates, are you watching it for any substance at all, or to you does it look like just a big high school play that they're all
I do is substance. I actually tweeted I just tweet the remarks of, so they ask a question and I tell the libertarian answer, and I also say what's wrong with the answer of the people or what's right with the answer of the people talking, because all that really matters is the policies, but they get further and further away. And the problem is the debates no longer have any value whatsoever because they are there. They're debates. So they're a test of your own personal knowledge, opinion, facility with the issues, that kind of thing. And now, ever since Obama, I can't imagine they went back. I haven't checked the record recently, but they gave Obama the questions in advance.
I think they said they gave them to Biden this time.
Well, then they had to give them to Trump. I mean, who would even do a debate? No,
that's called a conspiracy theory.
What's a conspiracy theory?
What I said, I got there was a headline that Biden got the questions before it, and that's a conspiracy.
I'm sure they all get the questions. I mean, well, okay, maybe Trump doesn't see the questions, but whoever is sitting there drilling him knows what questions. He clearly had total mastery. I thought Trump had total mastery of the subjects. And I feel like if it weren't crystal clear what questions were going to be, he would have had to study a lot harder than he'd be willing to study. But I thought Trump did great. I thought they were like, he beat up on the guy. I'm like, actually, what Trump demonstrated is what you always say against him. He debunked your idea that he's dumb.
Well, the other side of it is
not
too,
dumb.
I think one of the reasons he came across is I wish he would not have interrupted as much, even though I know it was 2-on-1. Chris Wallace was terrible, in my opinion. I wish he would have because I think the more Joe Biden talks, the more Joe Biden just can't. He gaps. Let him go over 30 seconds. Joe Biden will end up saying something like, "I like your socks." I mean, he just will. But Trump, in my opinion, is more prepared for those kind of debates because he actually goes on TV shows and radio shows of people who oppose him. So he gets asked hard questions by people way more often. Every time he has a press conference, his I don't want to say his enemy, but people that disagree with him are right there. It's called the press. They just start asking questions that are hard. They're designed to get you questions. So when he's in front of Wallace and for Biden, he's used to that adversarial tone. You know, Biden doesn't get hard questions at all. Biden doesn't. I heard an interview with him 2 weeks ago. It killed me. They go, so what do you think? And I think I'm going to get this kind of wrong, but what do you think about Trump's soul? What do you think about his soul or something? I was like, what the hell kind of questions? That guy's going to run the country. And what do you think about his spirit?
Well, I mean, it would matter, except for the answer is the same for all of them.
But I don't have you can't have an opinion.
The souls are souls.
And the flip side of it, they asked him point blank, would you pack the court? And he said it now a half a dozen or more times. I'm not going to answer that. I want the focus to stay on Trump. How have we got to a place now when you're running for president, you can just say, I'm not going to talk about what I'm going to do.
Well, what is the mechanism for packing the court? I mean, there is no place.
You can get it, because they just got to go back.
In my opinion, it requires a constitutional amendment.
It will. Here's the other.
But it doesn't. It's been changed many times. I was listening to Legal Man, the Quash. It was 3 times it was changed just during the Civil War.
Well, I was going to say, I think the last time it was changed was in the 1800s, right?
I don't know, but I know it was changed 3 times in the Civil War. And just the threat.
If you do it though, if your party gets in control and you do it and do away with the filibuster, do you know what's going to happen the next time the other party gets in control? The same. There's this escalating. We're going to get you back stuff is not what it's supposed to be.
That's why Trump taking away states' rights is not good.
What did he do, real quick? State rights, because tell me
many things. Well, the state and local taxes not being tax deductible is an affront to math itself. Even when I was at Harvard learning economics, it's just like, what the fuck? Even when I was at the hotbed of socialism, Harvard University, when I was there learning economics, even they would say, even cross borders, even countries won't do that to each other. Countries will defer to each other. Somebody gets to collect the taxes, and that's that. Mm-hmm. But he is saying, so I live in California now. The top tax level in California is, I don't know, they're raising it all the time. Maybe it's
130%, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, 130%. I wouldn't be surprised if California, if the federal tax goes to 75% and California goes to 30%, you literally will have to pay more than you make. And those numbers are not out of the question. Those numbers are tax rates that have been existing in the past. So you never double count that. And the problem with that is California and New York have the numbers. And the closer you get to having a popular vote instead of an electoral college, or to have Senate matched like Congress, the closest you get.
Hey, Jim.
Thanks for coming, Jim. So the closer you get to that, the more you see that California and New York will make all the laws in this country. And if they are going to have socialism, and if you let them do it at the state level, they will do it. They were doing it at the state level. When you take that ability for them to tax and pay on their own, they were little socialist countries in a bigger kind of EU. And now when you take that right away from them and they have the votes, they are going to make the entire country socialist. They did it with Obama. Obamacare is against the 10th Amendment, and we still have it. They can do it, and they will do it. And that's Trump. That SALT thing is an abomination.
And then I see that. I hear you say that.
And 2 other things, I'll tell you.
Oh, no, go. I'm sorry. No, people are here. Go.
So the EPA in California, or whatever, California had emission standards. California's always had really high emission standards. My brother's a truck driver. He can't go to California anymore because they have too high emission standards for his truck. So Trump stepped in and said, you can't make your own emission standards, everything, or, in maybe a very specific area, but whatever. He set a precedent that the EPA is going to now trump California in emission standards. So guess what? Now, if you in Tennessee don't want to have high emission standards, you're not going to be able to, because ultimately the EPA is going to control even the local laws. I think the same thing is going to happen like it did with Defense of Marriage Act. The same thing is going to happen with the abortion stuff. The same thing is going to happen with defunding the police and refunding the police. The Republicans and the Democrats both have the same idea is that as the defunding comes out locally, the feds are going to push it down with a lot of strings attached. And having Trump send Bill Barr in there to disarm city after city, they're going to need policing because they are not going to be able to defend themselves.
Yeah, but okay, I agree with, now that you said that, I see what you're saying. But real quick, okay, but when you say they're going to inner cities and taking guns to defend themselves, I would say that a lot of that is true. And I'm not, what I'm about to say, I'm not saying that they have the right. I'm not saying people shouldn't keep the guns. But a lot of guns are taken away. People are not using to defend themselves. Chicago, if you go live in Chicago,
okay, so you're saying they have an excuse. They have a plausible argument.
I didn't agree with it. I'm just saying,
I know, but I'm not saying you're excusing them. I'm saying they offer a plausible argument. But so do gun control advocates.
Right.
They offer plausible arguments. I mean, so do pot control advocates. They offer plausible arguments. What's good for society? But the fact is, I need individual self-defense. And if you took the drug war away, none of these other problems would be there. You wouldn't have people arming themselves because all transactions
you still have the
run
poverty, though. You still have poverty, and people try to do something. I think it's more of a reflection of poverty than anything.
Well, first of all, the black market wouldn't be the answer to poverty. And the answer to poverty, so if you say the black market and drugs is an answer to poverty, that means that there are people who really know how to run a business. They can do everything. They can even enforce the contracts themselves. Yeah. And they cannot find productive work in the legal society.
Well, they can. They just can't make that much money.
I don't know, but a lot of entrepreneurs make a lot of money. The reason there are problems with the little guys starting up on a bootstrapping company is all of the regulations. I was listening to some African guys talk about a woman actually was emphasizing this point, that the reason that they cannot engage in entrepreneurial self-made businesses in Africa is the government basically doesn't let them. It's so tied up with regulations and, licensing and all that you cannot do it. It's not that they can't figure it out. It's that, and when you look at it with Africa, you see that it's just corruption. If you look at it in 1500s in England, when capitalism was really just starting, you can see that licensing was a way for the crown to bestow privilege on people who paid them money. So the crown would say, I will use force of arms to keep anyone from competing with you on importing salted herring or whatever. But now we act like, oh, well, someone will give you a bad haircut if they don't have a license. They act like they're doing it for you, but they're not doing it for you. So these inner city people who are perfectly capable of running a business obviously are going to get the extra profit and no taxes of the drug trade because there is this carved out business that probably is carved out as an illegal, hyper profitable business because it is used to fund black ops by the CIA. Yeah. I mean, that's Google and those things were set up to fund the surveillance state outside of tax dollars because it would be too hard to get that money approved. Same thing with black ops and the drug war. They need those monies they need that money to do stuff that wouldn't be able to just push through Congress. Total information awareness was a George W. Bush thing where they wanted to have 24/7 surveillance and people heard about it and Congress had to shut it down. So now they have Google, which there's a great article in Quartz called The NSA Roots of Google. Palantir just came out. It's big data. It is a CIA incubated company. InQtel was its venture capital. That's a CIA venture capital fund. And what they do is they have 13 government agencies and 9 big tech, including Apple, Facebook, and they sell, just like Promise Software, if you know that story, they sell their software to those companies. And what they actually do is get them to agree to contribute their data, if I understand it correctly, contribute their data for access to the big data. So you can have this complete lack of privacy, complete lack of barriers between public and private data without even having a back door, without even getting legal permission, because everybody's just kind of transacting.
Everybody tapped into it. There's like a main vein. They're just tapped into it. Yeah.
And when you have the NSA and Google and stuff incubating those big tech companies so that there's one like oligarch in each silo, the little guy cannot compete with that. They cannot start up. So they leave some black market stuff to destroy the inner city and to fund their stuff. But a lot of the startups that we could do that would have absolutely no ability to discriminate because it would be completely behind the wall of the web. They sew that stuff up at the top. I mean, it's first thing you do is ask what the government needs to stop doing before you ask what should the government do to fix this problem.
I'll tell you why I love having a conversation with you and why people like listening to you is I asked what Trump was doing against the states, and that was like 6 minutes ago, and we ended up on Google, and I'm like, yes, you threw so much info out there. And how it's
I don't know if
related.
You like that. You would say that you like it even if you don't. But let's just see what these guys are saying. Oh,
so yes, Jim, I do. Yeah, you know me. I'm not a liar.
Let me read. Yeah, let's read this of Jim. On the subject of Trump's taxes, unless you've already covered it. Nope. I'd like to hear Clint's opinion on the fair tax. I know where Monica stands and if he supports it. Trump wouldn't have been harassed about what he paid if that weren't an income tax. I would love to hear what you say, Clint, and then I had something to add.
Yeah, no, I'm completely for overhauling the IRS. I think it's silly to create loopholes that people can take advantage of, and when they do loopholes, they take advantage of loopholes. Everybody goes, "Oh, look, you took advantage of the loopholes." I love the tax on consumption. I think that's fine. I like the fair tax. I'm a big believer on. I think the government should get out of marriage and should get out of taxes as much as possible.
Yes,
I don't think the government should be in marriage either.
Totally. That's why the Defense of Marriage Act, which was a congressional act in violation of the 10th Amendment.
Me and Monica agree on something.
Yes. My father asked me not to get a marriage license, and his brother, the priest, was marrying us, and the priest, who was an anarcho-capitalist himself, just wouldn't do it. He just didn't want to get in trouble. But yeah, he asked me not to get a social security number. He asked me never to work on the books. My father.
I don't know. I'd probably go social security number, but whatever.
I mean, I just saw my daughter processed at the DMV and whatever, it doesn't matter. But I did want to add something about the taxes. I really feel like a tax that I don't like any kind of consumption tax or income tax, because income.
I don't mind a consumption tax.
What is the theoretical basis of justice for consumption?
I'm just saying,
or just being practical?
Now. Yeah, I'm being practical. I mean, at some point in time, we're not going to go back.
The fair tax is a consumption tax.
Yeah, I don't mind paying taxes on what you buy. I mind paying taxes on what I make. It's
none of their business what you buy.
I get it, but because we're not going to go back to no taxes at all. That's not.
I'm not even saying no taxes. I'm saying the two. I think that the two taxes should be a poll tax, believe it or not. I know everyone's like, that's racist. I don't really understand why that's racist, but a poll tax would be, if you want the government to protect you and you want to have a say in the government, you need to pay. What's wrong with that?
Poll tax.
The really biggest source of taxes, I would say, people absolutely hate this idea. Never met anybody who liked it. Is a wealth tax or a property tax or a contract tax, so, a tax of what you use. So, or if, I don't think the government should run roads, but you use tolls. If Warren Buffett and Ted Turner own half the property in this country, let them pay 10% property tax, because that's probably what the Air Force costs to defend it. They're not defending my land. They're not defending my property. I never enforce contracts. Contracts should be taxed.
Way to keep it light today, folks.
I know. Sorry, JJ.
Overhauling the IRS means it stays in place. If you support it, to be more vocal about it. Thanks for your response. I appreciate that. Taxation is theft, period.
Inflation is too. Roses are red, violets are blue. Taxation is theft. Inflation is too. It's my favorite.
Taxation is a reality, though can't do away with both, Monica. There you go.
That's true.
You can't.
Death and taxes. But who said that? Who said there's nothing more certain than death or whatever? Death and taxes.
I know it's not the Bible.
Franklin.
I know it's not the Bible.
It was Ben Franklin, who is a big government guy. I shouldn't say a big government guy, a big government guy. The war on drugs drives poverty along with welfare system. So I just got a cocktail question.
Where did we see that? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, JJ. I missed that one.
That's JJ.
You got a cocktail question. Where? On here? Or did somebody text it to you?
No, somebody from Sweden. I'm going to tell her to come pop in here and ask your question.
Yeah,
I'm live streaming.
I've got a few tweets to get in there. Yeah. And I'll be honest, everybody. Again, this is 2 weeks in a row Monica has bait and switched me. It's false advertising. I think she's full of shenanigans. She's Irish. She's full of mischief. And I'm just telling you up front, she's come on like this. This is what I see before we come on. I'm just going to have to go light today. I'm not ready. Then we get into it, and she's like, whack. And you're like, geez almighty, Monica.
And last night was the party. Every other week, I'm a little bit hungover from my fantastic cocktails.
It's in the Bible. It's the book of second opinions in the New Testament. That's just not true. You're not a prophet. You stop. So yeah, tell her to come over and ask a question. So I am going to go ahead and throw some tweets out at you today because as much as you say you're not ready, I think you're pretty much on your game.
Well, that's because you bring out
your camera's
fiery.
Focused up.
I hate my camera.
Your camera's focused up.
Ugh.
What kind of nonsense is that? What were you just doing there?
I'm mad at my camera. I hate my camera. Something went wrong with my camera, and I don't think it has anything to do with the 10 pounds I gained.
You've not gained 10 pounds.
I think I might have. I don't know. I stopped.
You haven't? You do care. We all care. We all care. We want to stay in good health because we don't want to get the COVID.
I want to get the COVID.
Oh, stop it. No, you don't. Why would you want to get the COVID?
Because then I will be immune to it. Oh, they said you can't get immune to it.
Twice. You told me that.
This crazy virus. So I've learned viral theory. I accepted it until recently. And I learned what they told me about it. They told me vaccines work because you can't get a virus twice, because you can get a bacteria twice. My kids get strep throat all the time or whatever, once a year. And I bought a little strep kit. It's the same kit. It tests for the same thing every time. And you can keep getting it. Absolutely. They tell you to throw your toothbrushes away. But the whole idea between vaccinations, why don't we have smallpox anymore? Because you get a vaccination and you never get it again.
Right.
And now with COVID, not only can it have side effects 10 years out, it can give you flaccid myelitis, which heretofore was only a function of vaccinations. But now it's a function of the actual illness. And they tell you it can make you lose your smell. It can, then they tell you that you can get it more than once.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard of that.
That's
today.
Just preposterous. So now they're saying same thing with the dumb flu vaccine. They give you a vaccination for last year. So one of my sons had the flu one year. I never saw flu like this. It was 10 days straight, 102 fever. Never saw anything like that before. He was really sick. It really missed a lot of school. The next year, so of course I would never get him a flu vaccine anyway, but the flu vaccine shot is the shot for last year's flu. And they say it can give you some benefit against this year's flu. I totally don't believe it, but whatever. So then my son got the flu again. The same flu. This time it was 7 days of 102. But wow. I mean, it was like kind of getting where the school's like, really? He just doesn't come to school anymore. So my point was he had the actual freaking flu. The actual flu, which gives a much broader spectrum of resistance to similar flus. He got it a second time.
I wish I knew what the rate was. And I know it's out there. I just wish I had read up on it to know when you get the vaccination, what's the percentage of people who get the vaccination that still get the flu? And if they do, is it really proven to help mitigate the effects of the flu? That's what I wish I knew. I also wish I was taller and younger, and
but you want
any money at all a little bit. And I want to know what the flu stats.
Yes. And the other thing about the flu is if they would measure the side effects or the flu-like symptoms of getting the flu shot versus not getting the flu shot.
I'm sure that's out there somewhere. Somebody has done that. If they've not hijacked the stats to weaponize them. Hey, JJ Boogie said, if you want talking about I'm assuming he's talking about your weight. He says, lay off the potatoes.
Oh, yes. Yes. Let's see your shirt there, Clint.
Oh,
speaking of potatoes.
There you go.
Yeah, we have to talk, JJ, about, I believe that flu vaccinations are not very effective. 20-30% is what JJ's saying. We have to talk about getting me into the keto thing. I think I need to do that.
I sent you. Did you not get the link I sent you? Yes, I think I sent you my link.
I think you sent me stuff on Facebook. I never look. I'm only here.
All you have to do is click it, and it's a video. It's a YouTube. Here,
I have to just click it. Can I just show you something? I'm going to show you something.
Sure. I want to show you something else. While you do that, I'll do this. Go ahead. I can't see the screen right now, so you're in charge.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. He's like, just click it. Just click it. I'm going to show you how many unread emails I have.
Right.
That's just emails.
Hold on. How many is that? 106,000.
166,000.
What do you do? What I mean,
that's unread.
Yeah, I know. That bothers me.
Well, what do you want me to do?
I want you to read them.
I can't read them, and that's just an email. That doesn't include Twitter and Facebook and Patreon and Discord and all the stuff that I love to talk to my people, but I spend hours every day. So when you send me a video that's supposed to help me personally, it's probably not at the top of the list.
Okay, so here's the deal. I just posted it in the comments. If you want to know all things keto, I sit down with two of my buddies, and he has his own podcast.
Okay.
And afterwards, you just go click it and listen to the podcast.
I will.
It's an audio podcast. So there you go.
All right.
Let me get out of there again. Do you want to do some? Do you want? Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Trash your emails and be gone with it. Thank you, JJ Boogie. Do you want to do some tweets?
Yes.
All right. Let's do some tweets. All right, I'll read. I'm just kidding.
What is that?
That's phone? My camera. Okay, so yeah, I don't have.
Oh, that's your camera?
Well, no, it's my phone.
It's your phone.
I don't have a little camera holder, so I took this old candy dish that a buddy of mine gave me as a gift.
Nice.
And I bought a car holder that goes in your ashtray, and so now
cup phone.
It's a cup phone.
I love it.
That's called. We call that rigging up. Rigged it.
I understand. Jerry rigging.
Yep. Here we go. Let me see if I can find it. I'll start off with this one. If you can remember, and if you can't, we'll move past them. I got plenty. Divide and conquer tactic, courtesy of the nexus between government and media. Why are all the big police shootings?
Rick Moranis. Oh, what? Which one was it?
It's just Rick Moranis. Yep.
Yeah. So Rick Moranis walking down the street, supposedly in New York, gets punched in the head, and they have their cameras everywhere. So you see that's a young black guy walking away. I couldn't even tell that it was Rick Moranis. And I looked and I saw that it was a black guy. And I thought, they're just trying to feed into your mind resistance to the Black Lives Matters thing so that you have an answer. That you're like, well, the reason they get shot the most is they do the most crimes or whatever. They're just feeding into that dialectic. Whereas nobody ever talks about Anthony McClain shot twice in the back by a Pasadena cop last month. Nobody could dispute that he did not deserve that. Nobody could dispute it, which is why you don't see it. Where Breonna Taylor, it's if you dig in.
Did the police though? Did the police on the one you just mentioned? Did they get arrested? Were the police? Are they investigating? Have they been charged?
I guess there's a law there I've only ever seen it on the local news. There's a law that they have to release their investigation or something within 72 hours. So they put together a 6-minute video that showed the cop cams and all that kind of stuff. And the cop who shot the suspect, it was a traffic stop, and this guy was a passenger in the car. He was on probation for drugs, and he probably had drugs. And he ran away, and the cop ran after him and shot him in the back twice. And then later they said he had a gun, but you could not see a gun in any of the videos. And they said that the cop who shot him, his body cam was off. Now, what happens when you're stopped for drunken driving and you refuse to give evidence? You go to jail because they presume that you are drunk. Or you get your license taken away or whatever. When you don't have the thing that is designed to protect the people because it gets to be off sometimes. And then they said, we have a witness that saw him throw the gun, and here's the gun. The gun didn't have his fingerprints on him.
When they did the video, was there any other was other police officers' body cams on?
Yeah, there was another guy far away, so you could see it. But they said, you see his gun? And you cannot see the gun. You cannot see it. He says he turns, and he's turning to look and see how close the guy was behind him. And they're like, see, that was his gun. No gun. No, I should say there is no evidence of a gun there. And that guy was hauling ass. He was not turning around to shoot that cop. And if you saw the body cam from the cop who shot him, I'm sure it wouldn't have favored the cop. And so they got nothing. There's nothing. No investigation, nothing. No further investigation.
For Monica Perez at Monica Perez Show on Twitter. Holy cow. You started it off with holy cow. I say again. Freedom Act Radio. You just said this was. You just said this one 1 minute ago in the Patreon 15, and it was good vibes are contagious.
Yes. So we were talking about how you can affect a mood and you can really change. They call it's contagious, like a yawn. And there is evidence that if you are a Debbie Downer, you can just bring everything down. And if you have a positive attitude, if you have a smile, you can really change the environment that you're in. And so it's real. So we were deciding whether it came from a conversation of whether there was power in prayer where you're bringing down energy and a force from elsewhere, or if you're just emanating it or harnessing what's within you. And I say there's probably both.
Yeah, I think whatever's in you, I think has come down from anyway. I think whatever you have in you has come down from God anyway. But so I do seminars for business folks a lot of times, and I used to in another life get paid to help sales managers, and I learned a trick. And I know it sounds silly, but it's right along with this. And I've been doing this for 20 years. That what I'm about to say is there's power in a smile, and you can tell when you're on the phone. I used to tell salespeople, smile even in the middle of an argument.
Yes,
if you're in the middle of something that's anxious and stressful, smile. We used to record radio commercials, and I would always bring people in and I would have them record it. And I could tell, especially if it's one of those business owners that just wanted to cut a commercial himself or herself, they would cut 2 or 3 and they sounded okay. And then I would say, okay, we're not going to record anymore. Do me a favor though. Let's practice. And when you practice this time, the mics are off. Practice smiling. The mics would stay on the whole time. Right. I never shut the mics off. I just adjusted something. They would do it. Night and day. I'd ask them, which one of these 4 do you like? And they 100% of the time,
wow,
the one they're smiling, because it ebbs, it flows out of you.
Yes, there was a newscaster at WSB. I think her name was Ashley, and Binkley and I would always laugh because you couldn't really see her, but she said we knew she just was smiling. And then we asked her once, like, do you smile when you do this? She's like, I always smile. I even told the program director, I was like, you can tell she's the best.
From Monica's Twitter account. Hold on.
I can't see it. Yes, that was so delicious.
That was last night.
Yes.
That's the color of it. We were talking about that
earlier. And it was that color. It was so yummy.
Also, Monica Perez at the Monica Perez Show on Twitter, California wildfires and how bark beetles, dead trees, and poor forest management significantly contribute to forest fires. It's the full measure. You posted that.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I think that's saying something we already know, though.
Because Trump mentioned it on his debate, and I thought, why is he mentioning this on the debate? Why is he validating what's true about these forest fires? But then somebody responded to that tweet and said, well, don't just focus on the forest management. And that's true, because they have absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind, I don't care what anybody else believes, that they have been enforcing this drought here for years.
When you say they, local, state, or federal, or all?
Well, you can see there's a YouTube video of John Brennan when he ran the CIA talking about how amazingly affordable geoengineering is, like controlling the weather, that we could do it for $10 million a year, something like that. So I assume it's federal. And I actually, right when I moved out here, it was too late, but I was looking at the flight tracker to see which planes were spraying stuff, because you can see them. And if you have your flight tracker, it tells you the plane that's right over your head. So I was going to start making a record of it, because pilots do not seem to even know it's happening. So I don't know what planes it is, but out here, and people are telling me this from everywhere, from San Diego all the way up the coast of California, that basically every single day until the Rona times for a couple of years, or every other day or whatever, you would see crisscross, just the planes would spew out that stuff. Now, I never see it now. So what happened to well, sometimes planes leave exhaust and sometimes they don't. It's like, oh, the planes that are going now are never doing it. Well, when they stop,
to do with atmospheric
conditions.
It
doesn't. Yes, I know they make stuff like that up, and then you don't actually know, and neither do I actually know. So we accept that bull, but it doesn't make logical sense, because there is no pattern other than that. Sometimes they crisscross the sky at different altitudes. You can see it like this. So the plane goes like this. How can it have to do with altitude if you can see that the plane is gaining altitude and it's still leaving that mark, and it crisscrosses, and then it starts hazing out over the air, over the sky, and it changes the weather for that day. It is definitely man-made climate change. And what it does is it can do a couple of different things. One, it can reflect the sun into, so that's not as hot, which everybody wants, but who knows what they're doing to actually make it hot in the first place. But another thing it does is it pushes down the cloud cover so that it cannot precipitate. And that keeps the moisture from the Pacific from dumping on California at all. So the regular rains are gone. This stuff is all super dry, and that also diminishes the amount of moisture that flows out over the continental United States through the jet stream and everything like that. So it causes weather problems everywhere. And that incredible dryness, coupled with the fact that all of these big fires, it got to the point where I was anticipating it, and then it was happening afterwards, were started by government contractors. So I was talking about how PG&E actually had to pay good money for starting those fires. The last year, the fire was started by a garbage truck that literally dumped burning trash on the side of the road, and some innocent civilian found it, saw it, took a picture, yelled at the guy, called for help, but it was too late. And the same thing, this Bobcat fire near me, I was like, I bet a government contractor of some kind accidentally started that fire because I saw it coming and nobody fought it, and they lied about why, and then ends up California Edison is being investigated.
You know what you need? You need to move to Texas and get you about 100 acres, fence it in.
Totally.
I've heard that idea from somebody really smart.
I want to, but Joe Rogan is bringing LA to Austin.
They're wanting to edit his shows now. Spotify's getting ticked at him.
Complete sellout. As soon as I saw the first Snowden interview, there's just no chance that guy is. I'm not saying he's
had
doing
him on
anything.
2 or 3 times. He's had
two times, and it's such nonsense. That guy discredited both of them. You could see that both of them could no longer be believed after the first one.
If you go to Twitter and you look at Monica Perez show, you also see one from about 3 days ago. It says Atlantic fuels white supremacist fears with claim Oath Keepers militia packed with cops and vets are plotting civil war.
Did you ever hear of the Oath Keepers?
I'm going to say I've heard the name. I don't know anything about them. My frame of reference is 0.
I used to talk about them rather frequently in the early days of my WSB show. A veteran Black woman called into my show and would talk about the Oath Keepers. And what they were was firemen, policemen, veterans, who anyone who had sworn an oath to the Constitution or was supposed to enforce the Constitution swore to keep that oath.
Yeah, my dad's not a member of a group. Right. My dad is military, and he's told me 100 times. He goes, Bubba, he goes, I took an oath in 1967, and it hadn't gone anywhere.
You can't. An oath is an oath.
Yeah.
I mean, an oath is an oath. And then you're binding it to punishment in the afterlife. So she was recommending it. And I used to tell people about it. And at a certain point it turned and someone said to me, yeah, they've been infiltrated. And I just didn't, then I didn't know. I couldn't figure it out. And I didn't hear much about them since then. But to suggest that it's a white supremacist group or a militia group, certainly in its inception, it was not. Or, I mean, whatever, maybe it was meant to trap people like a honeypot, but I thought it was certainly great premise. And now, like everything else, and that's what's the problem with the white supremacist question they asked Trump. Was that he said, and militias.
Yeah.
But
and
they
militias.
said, and militias.
In there.
Militias is the Second Amendment.
See, and this is the thing that I think we live. This is where I think you and I can find some common ground. In the world we live in nowadays, anything that goes against anything that counters the narrative of the big government or whatever side, the Republican or Democrat side, anything that counters that, whatever movement, it can be anything. All they have to do, Tea Party, guess what? Racist, you're racist, you're racist. Libertarians, if I just don't like you, it's almost like what I was talking with JJ Boogie. Anything that disagrees with me is a conspiracy theory. All I have to do is label that militia is racist. And it may not be racist. All I have to do is say it, and then pop in the world, the image of they have in the world now,
suggesting that only net neutral or net positive taxpayers should vote isn't a crazy idea, but it's considered racist. And how is it considered racist? It's considered racist because there is, I would say, a concerted effort at the top to make sure that poverty, disenfranchisement, all of that stuff is tied to race, so that because they can control things like poverty. So if they make sure that there's always going to be that thing where anytime you ask somebody to pay their way or to figure out how to get a driver's license to vote or whatever, if they make sure that race is tied to ignorance and poverty, they can eliminate any common sense approaches to things like taxes and voting.
But when you say that, though, that comes now. That part is there is a divide in the party on that, because that's what Democrats we don't want voter ID. Other people do want voter ID. So along those lines, I do see a difference in the Democrats and Republicans, because it
makes complete sense to have a voter ID. Any law
absolutely
that can't be enforced, it doesn't have to be voter ID. You have to be able to prove who you are to exercise this obligate responsibility of voting. And if you can't, then there shouldn't be any rules about it. You shouldn't say you have to be a citizen if being a citizen, you don't have to prove being a citizen. You understand? Yeah. So just say all you have to do is show up at the polling place and you can vote, and you could show up at every polling place and vote 10 times, because that is how it is in California.
Look,
I could go to every polling place and vote and they wouldn't know because it's on a piece of paper.
See, and I know everybody gets lost in my deep blue eyes, but if you really get out of my eyes, you'll see all this is gray. And I still get carded if I want a beer. I'm 53 years old almost. So if I have to get carded for a beer to prove I am who I am and I'm the age I'm supposed to be, I do not understand how it's racist. Hey, you want to buy an airline ticket? You got to have some sort of ID. You want to do most
and you know what
anything
else?
in life.
I wonder if the polling people, if you have to go to your local polling place to vote, and they have a list of 1,000 people, and you say, I'm this person, you don't have to show an ID, and they check it off 5 minutes before the polls close. What is to stop those Democrats 100% from filling in all of those?
We had 100% people come in today. 100. So my question, I want to stop real quick before we keep going. Are you saying, and I didn't know that about California, is that an opinion and a proven thing where people can go and vote in multiple districts, or I don't, when you said
I don't know. I remember how it works in California is that you just walk up and they have a list of all the voters, and I just can't remember if it's all the voters in the state or all the voters in that region.
Have to be in that region, I would think.
But I think there's more than one place you could vote. So I don't think I personally have to go to the one place. I think I have options. Now, if it's just the one place, then it kind of makes sense. But I was like, what's to stop me from going somewhere else to vote again? And then they were just like, is that what you plan to do? What are you, a Republican, whatever, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, if you're bad.
Voter frauds that are coming out, most of them, these mail-in ballot, these little anecdotal articles, and everybody blows them off and go, it's no big deal. I'm like, there's 20 headlines right now of mail-in ballot for, mistakes or mishaps going on, and everybody's acting like it's not a big deal. At some point in time, when elections are decided by such a thin margin, that's a big deal. Yeah. Massive mail-in ballots has never been tried before, ever. It's been done in pockets. It's not absentee balloting. They're just
JJ, what are you doing tonight? Sorry, we'll throw it up. Tell us where you're playing next.
Yeah. But mailing people ballots that didn't ask for it is a total sham.
Let me tell you what happened when I took my daughter to the DMV. That we had like 7 or 8 pieces of things that they wanted. Passport, pieces of mail, her the application form that was sent back to her from the DMV. We had everything. And they said, we need like 2 pieces of mail, and one of them has to be a medical bill or something like that. So we brought a medical bill. It had the letterhead was on the envelope, and the letterhead was on the letter, and on the envelope it had her name and address, and on the letter it had her name. They're like, it has to have her address on the letter itself. I was like, okay, there's like 10 things here. In your list, it did not say that specifically. And this chick, obviously, I mean, there's 10 things proving everything about this person, lives in California, whatever. They sent us home, even though I got there at 5:30 in the morning to wait online. They sent us home to get more. Okay. Contrast that with chick I knew was a au pair from South America. When you live in California, you need to change your license if you're going to be there for more than 30 days. So foreigners have to get a new license if they're going to be there even for just 1 year.
She was here legally on I'm assuming like a visa or
an
something.
Au pair visa.
An au pair, visa. Okay.
Au pair visa. She went they insisted that she register to vote. And she said, I'm not legal. They insisted she register to vote. They said, that's all right. Just do it anyway. This is the place that sent me. Oh, yes. And I found out later she went and got food stamps. And she told them that she had a visa. And they said, don't tell us that you have a visa. This is only for illegal people, undocumented.
Now, I'll say this. When Republicans start saying that, this is where I get to say this, and everybody tells us we're full of crap or racist. I don't think it has anything to do with race. It has something to do with right or wrong. And it just seems a little bit, if you're going to have rules, you ought to try to enforce them.
Yeah. I mean, it has nothing to do. I mean, and my last name is Perez. So I don't think that at the DMV they were using any kind of identity litmus
that's
test.
A traditional Tennessean name. Perez.
You like that? Well, it came from Texas.
Yeah.
My husband hails from Texas. He's Puerto Rican, actually. But
all of our gene pools, all of our genealogy would go outside the United States if we go back far enough.
I would have, I could probably fit in a lot of different cultures. But anyway, so I don't know why they sent me home and they told this other chick that she didn't need, you know what I mean? Like they were such sticklers about our letterhead, but she admitted that it was a federal offense for her to register.
And they told her to do it.
And I'm sure she did it. She was a bit of a liar. So she wouldn't admit it to me, maybe. But
I'm sure she's the only one. There's nobody else who would ever do that in the state of tens.
Oh, of course. The first person I ever met who voted illegally was a Danish guy. I was at Stanford, and he said that he voted for whoever it was, Clinton, I think. And I said, that is outrageous that you would vote in our elections. He said, well, your elections affect the whole world. And I said, well, how did you even manage to do it? He said, they just asked me to register. And I said, okay.
Gee, I wonder if that's a problem. Maybe there's a party.
I was so innocent. I felt that one vote invalidated the entire election.
Yeah.
It's like I should write.
You should be a Republican then. We are agreement on this.
Why would I be a Republican?
Because we agree on the voters.
They only believe that because they think it'll work for them for now.
That's
Wait
not
till
true.
It changes.
That
is true.
You speak lies.
Because look, absentee ballots used to be a Republican thing.
Hey,
Republicans used to be behind it. The problem is they're not doing it right.
There's a process.
They're not doing it right.
You want to do one more, or do you want to talk about how to find you? We got one last one.
One more.
I'm getting seriously worried about a cyber attack and/or a hot war starting during election crisis 2020.
Did I have a link?
Nope.
Oh, because it was during the debate.
Yeah, it was during the debate. Because you also right after that one had posted they need to mute their mics.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny because that is what's going to happen.
Yes.
So, but they're going to do it wrong. They're going to do it where it's rude.
Oh, Trump won't get a word in. They'll just completely let Biden say whatever Kamala Harris wants him to say.
Right. But they
Hold it, be like this. Excuse me. This is what he's going to look like. I'm sorry. What did you say, Kamala?
Yeah.
He's going to have his earpiece
excuse me. So yeah, it's just my hearing aid.
Yeah.
I don't know what Trump had said that made me think that we may be headed to a hot war or have a mass. The cyber attack thing comes straight out of the World Economic Forum. My buddy Pete Q, who's Freeman Beyond the Wall podcast, he sent me a link to Klaus Schwab, who is basically they. He is behind Event 201. He is behind the Great Reset. He is behind the Fourth Industrial Revolution. He is Davos man.
Right.
And he said that the way you were taken by surprise over a pandemic, you will be taken by a cyber attack, which when he tells you that, it means he's planning it.
I'm trying to look because there's a group that just threatened that if Trump wins, there will be chaos in the streets. They will take to the streets for unrest. And I cannot find the name of Postulation Chaos. That's it.
Really?
Hold on a second. I can't read. I should have my glass.
It's not Operation.
It may be. I'll have to find it.
Post-election chaos.
That may be it. I don't have my glasses on, and the print I was trying to see was small. But then you have people like Hillary Clinton say, "Whatever happens, Joe Biden, do not accept the results of the election, no matter what." And I'm like, so both sides are playing it up, and I agree with you. I think it is a danger, which makes everybody, again, it's fear mongering. But
what happens if Trump is unseen for a while? Because a couple of weeks ago, and I highlighted this, and I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. He said, "I might have to go away for a while. You might not see me for a while."
When did he say that?
When he was in, I think he was at some plant, a washing machine plant in a northern state. And it was a long, dumb speech he gave. And he just said so many. I actually made a bunch of notes for you that time. I could probably find it from one of our previous conversations that, where was it? Wisconsin? Do you not remember this? He made not
about him disappearing for a while. I'm not, no. Let me see if I can.
All right, keep talking.
This. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find that group. See the debate whether unrest if Trump wins, but where is the name of the group? Let's see. I'm trying to Atlantic, Georgia. No, I can't find it. I can't find the name of it, but I will if I can. If I keep looking, I'll send you the link about what they said. And
Trump's speech. This is from August 8th. He said,
"This is good listenership right here."
Sorry, well, you're supposed to be talking. I
started looking up something first.
Well,
okay,
no,
I'm talking.
I'm
talking. I'm back.
Come on, be a professional.
Be a professional. Wrong guy. You're the radio professional.
You're the professional. You were the professional first.
It's the wrong guy. Wrong person.
Anyway,
I'm not the professional. Keep talking. Keep talking. You're good.
He says,
yep. And he's going to have to disappear. So do you think that's referring to what's going on right now? Or do you think that's more of disappearing like down the road?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's disappearing right now.
He was speaking to the Q people by saying he just fed that troll a little bit there by saying that he would just disappear.
Are you still looking? I'll show somebody.
I'm giving up.
No. Oh, well, I was going to show a funny picture of my kid, but go ahead.
Show the picture.
Well, remember we were talking about Batman? And do you remember me showing you the video of how funny my son is now that he's grown? So when my daughter was born, there's a 5 years difference between my son and my daughter. So he wanted to go see his, almost 6, but he wanted to go see his baby sister in the hospital. But he did not want to go unless the first time she could see him, he was Batman. So that's my son as Batman in the hospital when he went to see his sister. That's my grandmother who passed away.
That is super cool.
That's
awesome.
I couldn't get him to go. He's like, she's got to see me as Batman, Dad. I just got to be Batman. I'm like,
that is so sweet that he really cared about that.
Oh, and you can't separate the two. But anyway, I thought
I'm a little worried that these little babies can only see masks now. I got my niece had a baby, and
well, that's how
it's very important to bond. Of course, I wouldn't. I said they have to have an underground railroad of smiles to get through to this kid. Sneak smiles into her.
I'm going to try to find it where Trump said he's going to disappear. There we go.
It's the August 8th speech. I believe it was about washing machines.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. You know what? We'll post it. All right, Monica Perez. You keep looking. You keep looking. But do you
sorry.
Do you have gear? Do you have any gear?
I got some stuff, I got my mug. The original 15
Are you stocked up again?
No, I just won't get rid of this one so that I can show it to you. But you can buy this one on Shopify. If you go to thepropreport.com, you can quickly see where to click through to shop. So you can have that. And then I have other sizes.
When are you coming out with t-shirts?
I have the t-shirt, but I can't reach it and I'm stuck behind my thing.
Okay, so you do have a t-shirt. Okay.
I do have I can go get it for you.
No, you're okay. You got t-shirts, you got coffee mugs.
I have great stickers. People love the stickers.
And you have mankinis.
Yeah, brokinis.
Whatever.
I am working on other stuff too. I want to make
what do you want?
Merch.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. What would be if you could add if you could do the genie thing and add something, what would you add now?
An engraved Monica mixes old-fashioned glass.
Oh. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
That would be very cool. Does Binkley have input on that, or is that your job?
On my cocktail stuff?
No, just the merch stuff. Or is that mostly your job?
No, I mean I do all that stuff.
Are you a Halloween person? We're gonna wrap it up with fun stuff. Are you?
I like Halloween, but I'm not that like weird too into it lady. I used to have what's her name? The Munster. What was her name? Mrs. Munster?
I'll think of it in a minute. I can't remember.
Not Herman Munster, but his wife, Lily. I used to have a Lily Munster dress. It cost me $300. It was for reals.
Holy crap.
I lent it to somebody and I never got it back. But boy, did I look great. I looked like Lily Munster, I can tell you, because I put the makeup on.
So do you still dress up? When's the last time you dressed up for Halloween?
About 10 years ago. And I ended up crying. I can tell you the story because I'll tell you, because my husband works for Cartoon Network or whatever, some associate of them. That was a sister company. And they sent him a big box, or gave him a big box of all costumes. So somebody was Jake, somebody was Finn, Fiona, Iceman. The Ice King, and I had like Lumpy Space Princess or something, and we all got dressed up. And on the way out the door, my husband said, "Well, you can't come. You have to stay and hand out the candy." I started to cry.
So he saw? Did he not see you getting dressed up?
I guess he thought I was just going to stand at the door by myself,
dressed up.
And I was like,
I don't know. Yeah.
And I said, "Well,
did you stay home?"
I can't remember anything after I started crying.
All right. So are you a haunted house person or not? Do you like
I would love a good haunted house if I could find one around here, but I'm sure everything fun is over. Oh my gosh. My son, who has Down syndrome, wrote a letter to the government telling them to bring back Halloween, that it's outrageous. Where do they get off? Because they canceled it here.
Yeah, they canceled a bunch of places. Yeah, I saw that. Because I just don't want people touching. But have you seen the people?
Everybody's wearing a mask.
Have you seen the people make the PVC pipes from the door down the steps or with an angle?
No.
They put candy in it and it goes like 4 feet into a little holding dish. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then you just come by, and as the kids are sitting there, you just fling it down the thing like that.
I like it. I would do that.
Last question for you today. Do you have a favorite scary movie?
I like Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I do too.
Really?
Well, most of the scary movies I remember, I was scared because I was young when I watched.
Right. They're not bad
Halloween, Friday the 13th.
So I can watch that with my kids because it's not that scary. And it was filmed right near here. So like I can find the house, I can find those streets. It's so weird. It's like supposed to be in Indiana or something, but it's in this little town near me.
That is weird. That is very weird.
It's super cool. I was like, I know that house.
Yeah, I think when the movies you see between the time you're 10 and 15 are the ones that stick with you because of the soundtracks and Jaws.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High was at the mall.
Breakfast Club was one of my favorite movies.
Oh, me too. I watched that with my kids.
How is that your favorite? Because I'm so much older than you.
Yeah. Wait, does it work that way?
Yeah,
it was an old movie when I watched it.
It was on Blockbuster VHS tape when you saw it, Monica. When Clint saw it, I
don't even remember Blockbuster.
Okay.
Touche.
My daughter said the other day, I got to talk to her on the phone, and she's like, I really wish we had Blockbuster again. That seems like us. She goes, because she was little before they closed. The last one closed here about 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago.
That's true. In Atlanta, I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, there were Blockbusters.
But she loved it. She goes, I remember as a kid, it was so fun. We'd run in there and see what was there.
That's so true.
Remember on Fridays when new stuff would get released and you would be like, we got to get there. There'd be 5 copies of Lethal Weapon and you'd be like, damn it.
Yeah, record stores, bookstores, all that stuff was fun.
I remember. I miss going to record stores.
I hate Klaus Schwab.
All right. And he's the bad guy again, right? He's a bad guy.
He's they.
He is they. There's you a t-shirt. Just he is they.
Klaus Schwab.
Your mom is so upset with you right
I had a good patron, right? Is like, could you please clean up your show so I can let my kids listen in the car? And I said, yeah. So I'm good.
Okay, well, good for you. Look at you taking advice. All right, tell everybody one last time if they want to listen to the drive time, if they want to listen to the podcast, they want to find you. All the places they can find you. We're going to wrap this show up.
I'll make it quick.
Yep.
Go to any podcasting platform that you love and subscribe to the Propaganda Report before you even listen to it. And if you don't like it, don't unsubscribe. I need subscriptions to pull up the search. Doesn't cost you anything. Just press subscribe. So I need to be better in the searches because I want to grow. And then you can listen to our daily show. It's 30 minutes a day of news of the day from a perspective of truth, liberty, and justice. And then also, if you want the cocktail parties, if you want an extra 15 minutes every day, and now we've gone commercial free on Patreon, patreon.com/propaganda report. What a lot of bang for the buck. But if you want videos like from me and Clint and other stuff of me, youtube.com/Monica Perez. But if you want to know more about Klaus Schwab and the evil that guy is up to with the World Economic Forum, then you have to subscribe to Rockfin, because that's where Binkley and I put our really, really
deep stuff,
deep videos. Yes, that's why I need a new webcam.
Tell that again one more time. How do they get to that one?
That's Rockfin, ROKFIN, and find the Propaganda Report. And the way you subscribe to our channel is try to watch one of our videos, and a subscribe button will pop up. Subscribe through that, and if you can watch the video, then you are a subscriber of ours. So
good for you.
Yeah, it's Monica, really good stuff. And then you get to watch everything else that's on Rockfin, like Sam Tripoli, Whitney Webb, Jimmy Dore, all those guys.
I will say this. I think some of our best shows are the ones that are less scripted and as little research as possible.
Well, I did not even read the tweets you wanted to talk about. So,
and yet you did fine. You did great. Thank you. I like your new backdrop, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
And get a better camera. Wish me a better camera.
I wish you a better camera.
You're going to help me find a better camera.
Yeah, I'll tag my buddy. I really will. And we'll talk offline, but my buddy Chris Simmons, I'll tag him on this, and he might be able to give you some help.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Monica.
Bye, Clint.
See ya.